6 seconds. That's all it takes for a buyer to make a first impression on a home. In today's episode, I want to share with you the actual why behind staging having so much power in that first impression. Staging is powerful because it creates an emotional connection. Now, if there's one thing your real estate agent knows, it's that people buy with their emotions, not necessarily with logic, especially when it comes to your home. And so oftentimes when we talk about staging, you look at just the simple math and you say, I'm going to pay somebody to put furniture into my home only to take it back out. That seems silly, but it works. And the reason that it works is there is this beautiful emotional connection that happens when furniture and decor tells a story in a home. It creates this connection for the buyer. And oftentimes I say it shouldn't work. It's kind of silly when you think about it on its face that this is something that we do, but we have seen the statistics and the evidence and the results over and over and over again that creates this ROI. There's this really interesting study out there in the industry that says the average amount of time that a home buyer spends in an empty, vacant home is 8 minutes. That's it. So the journey looks a little bit like this. They walk in the door, they go, gosh, the house is beautiful. They're walking through the spaces. They go, cool, there's a living room, a dining room, a kitchen, got it. Noticing a little scuff on the wall. We go upstairs. We see that there are 3 bedrooms. That makes sense. They notice a little stain on the carpeting or some wear and tear. They go, okay, great, it's a contender. They walk back out of the home. That's it. In alternative, when a home is staged, the buyer spends an average of 40 minutes. So they are spending 5 times longer in the home. And this is the change of what happens. The buyer walks in that front door, they see the dining room set up and staged, and all of a sudden they're thinking about hosting Thanksgiving dinner there. They move into the living room, they see it casually set up with the views that overlook the pretty golf course, and now they're imagining nestling up with their family in the afternoon or in the evening and enjoying that quality time together. They pivot their focus to the kitchen, and all of a sudden they're imagining cooking around that large kitchen island. Every single room they're walking into, they are changing their conversation of check, the function is there, and into telling stories and creating memories of the potential of what their family could be doing in those spaces. And that is the power of staging and the emotions that it really compels. It's really about that storytelling and that memory making.
Love design, but think like a business owner? If you're ready to leave your 9-to-5 and want to do something that's buildable and scalable, check out linden-creek.com/franchise and see if Linden Creek is the right fit for you.
Another reason staging is so powerful is it shows how a space actually functions. Now, obviously, you walk into a living room and you go, cool, this is where I'm going to watch TV and a sofa needs to go in here. But I will tell you from a girl that has walked through hundreds of empty houses, there are rooms that sometimes I still walk into today and I scratch my head and go, how is this actually supposed to work? And if I do this for a living and I'm asking that question, I think about all the other buyers that are going to be walking through the home with those same questions scratching their heads. And so if we can answer those questions before they ever come up for a conversation, we've already solved an objective and have furthered along the sale process. The other thing that's important about actually showing how a space works is oftentimes an empty room looks smaller than it does when it's furnished. Now that feels counterintuitive. I put furniture in and somehow now the room got bigger, but that's exactly what happens. Just last year was walking a property. It was a new construction with the interior designer that actually designed and built the home. And as we were walking into the primary bedroom, I said, this is beautiful. There's a ton of space. We can have chairs and dressers and benches. And she said, it's not that big of a bedroom. And I said, what are you talking about? It's huge. And she's the one that designed this. And so I take out my tape measure and I measured 7 feet. 7 feet is the length of a bed from the head to the foot. And I said, your bed ends right here. Look at all of the other space that you have in this room. And her eyes opened and she goes, I guess I didn't even realize just how large this really is. And all of a sudden it clicked with her. This is the reason that we need to be staging these spaces, because on a floor plan, something might look one way. In an empty room, something might look one way. But when we actually put the functional pieces in, we understand that now that primary bedroom isn't just serving as a place to sleep, but it's a place to nestle in and read a book and have a cup of coffee in the morning when the sun rises. The final reason that staging is so powerful is all about perception. When a house photographs well because it's furnished, it's going to compel a stronger purchase price. And the other thing that's interesting is when all of these little details are thought about and cared for. You've got fresh paint on your walls, you have beautiful furniture inside the space. All of a sudden, when the homeowners are sitting there on inspection day, sitting with the inspector for 3 hours and combing over every detail of the home as they get excited about it, do you know what they start seeing? More of those future memories that are going to happen in that home and less of the nicks and imperfections that happen in real life with the property. And so now the focus and the time is really around what that home is going to be. Again, bringing in that emotional connection. And that's where you see this compelling factor. Your home is perceived to be better cared for because of the way it presents itself. And that is something that conveys top dollar. Oftentimes, people talk about staging like it's art and furniture and accessories, and it is. But staging is something so much more than that. It's the pieces that come together that allow somebody to picture their life in a space. It turns hesitation into confidence. Buyers suddenly understand scale and what the property really has to offer. And when that happens, it changes into a home that's listed to a home that performs. If this conversation got you thinking about staging in a different light, stick around. We're going to have more conversations. Subscribe so you don't miss the next opportunity. This is In Good Space.